Quasi here, and in this video I want to share with you the concept of state control and really understanding how to nurture and maintain your own internal state of being to the point where you become untouchable by all of the external events that happen around you. This is the one thing that I needed to understand to truly become a conscious creator of my life, and really what helped me overcome all of these hurdles and challenges that show up in every single day life, and how to come out on top of them, and really how to even use them to propel you to newer and newer heights in your life. This was something that was absolutely crucial for me in the journey to growing my business, in the journey to really having fulfilling relationships, attracting the right kinds of people to my life. And I know this is going to be something key for you as well. If you just understand this one thing that I'm going to share with you throughout this whole video, this is going to be a complete game changer for you. So make sure you stick around to the very end of this video, take notes, rewatch, and really let's sit down and get right into it. Before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that a couple of spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me and my team for the Reality Mastery Program. For those of you who've been trying to apply, the whole of last week was really booked up. So if you go ahead and check now, just wait around till the end of the video for the announcement on how to apply. And with that, let's get started. So today I want to talk to you about the concept of state control, and single-handedly the most powerful thing I had to learn. And why this was so important for me is because, as you know, in this journey, if you know how to nurture your own internal state of being, your external state will follow. Whatever you see outside will eventually follow. Okay, so most people really get hung up with this because there's a little subtle detail that's missing that just doesn't bridge the gap, and it doesn't make sense. So that's why it's so easy to get frustrated when things aren't really working out in your favor. Okay, I personally was a slave to my external state and waiting for the results and being results oriented, but the key shift I needed to make was going from results orientation to becoming more process oriented, because at the end of the day, it's what you do and how you show up that really determines the fate and the direction and the lifeline and the trajectory really that you follow. Okay, so what I want to begin with is that when you make an intention, okay, let's say you make a new intention to move to a newer height and to a newer direction in your life. You've been stuck in a rut and you make an intention, or you really just make an intention to manifest more money or have more business success, right? Whenever you do make this intention, life will always throw you a test, okay? Please remember this. Whenever you make an intention, life throws a test. Why does this do this? Why does life always throw a test whenever you make a new intention? Well, life doesn't intentionally do this, okay? This is just a process whereby it happens, but how it can be interpreted as is basically understanding that it's trying to test your new beliefs and convictions, okay? How powerful are you within to be able to sustain these tests and still come out on top of it? There's a reason why everyone doesn't become successful and everyone doesn't have $1 million and, get whatever they want. It's because they fail these tests. Whenever these tests come up, what most people do is they start to get frustrated and their internal state of being gets affected. So most fail because their internal state gets destroyed. What do I mean by that? So whenever you make a new intention, let's say you want to hit 10K months in your business, right? You have a business and you've been at the 5K months, you've been doing well up until this point, and you've really made it up to the 5K months, but now you want to hit those 10K months. What's happening is now life will start to test your conviction to see if you're really worthy of the 10K months. Are you really being that 10K month version of yourself? Okay, because you start to be that 10K month version first, and then reality reflects this. Okay, you become the 10K month version, then reality will start to reflect this. But before you get to that, reality will start to test you a little bit and throw you all of these challenges and tricky clients to work with, or, maybe even the next month you make a little bit less. So this is exactly what happened for me, right? When I wanted to go to those 100K months in my business, even when I wanted to go to the 20K months and quit my corporate career. So there were two phases of this for me. When I first, left my corporate career and decided I want to double down and go full-fledged into entrepreneurship and this coaching business, what happened at first was the whole month of May, when I graduated college and I started up this business, I was just doing, taking massive action, but none of it really yielded any effort. I saw that I was just hitting this plateau. The more action I took, the more diminishing returns I saw. So it wasn't a problem of taking action, but the place this action was come from. It was coming from a place of frustration, a place of neediness, and I really needed this result right now. And if I didn't get this result, oh shit, I couldn't prove myself to my parents, etc., and etc. So I really had to coordinate through that, maintain my internal state through that, and really have that faith to move forward and come from that right place and have these actions, the outreach activities, the talking to prospective clients, the making the YouTube videos come from the right place of being. As a result of that, in August, I hit my first 20K month. So from May to August was that transition period for me where I went up and passed that test. But then from August, I made the intention to go to 100K months. Next month in September, I hit around 60K. And then October was 80K, right? But then after I hit the 80K, I was getting cocky. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. But then life threw that test to me to see if I would sustain. And the month of November, I think was a 50K month for me. So I went from 80K back down to 50K. So if you were a business owner, the way you look at it is, oh shit, well, it's not that I made 50K, but it's like I lost 30K. I was doing 80K months, but now I lost the 30K and I'm back down to 50K. What if the next month this happens and that happens? So naturally, those thoughts start to come up in your mind because you're still in that place of scarcity. Unless and until you get fully okay with failing, you won't really pass this test, okay? So I'm gonna get down a little bit deeper into that, but this is very, very crucial for you to understand. So I went down to 50K, but because I coordinated correctly, December was again, I think 95K, 90 to 95K in revenue. January, I hit my first 100K cash month, okay? So that was the test I had to go through to hit my first 100K month in my business. So this is what you've got to understand. There's subtle dynamics, okay? You've got to, despite all of these tests that come your way, it's just life testing you and seeing, do you really want this? Do you really want this? Are you really going to sustain all of these tests and challenges to get this? Are you going to do what it takes? Are you really the right person for this? And this is how life tests you. Okay, so we're going to get down a little bit more into that, but to understand this whole general frame and why this happens, we got to get into the mirror model of reality, which generally is the concept that this reflection, okay, you form the image with the thoughts, the attitudes, the internal state that you have. You form an image to the mirror of reality. Reality acts like a mirror and it reflects your own internal attitudes with a delay. Okay, so there is always a delay time before the image that you presented to this mirror materializes into physical reality. This is absolutely crucial. I want you to remember this for the next part, okay? So now let's really get down into this and understand the dynamics behind why reality works the way it does so that you can start to use it and push it the right way to benefit you and help you move forward. Okay, so the first thing you've got to understand is the cycle that this mirror follows. Okay, so we talked about forming an image and forming the reflection. So the image is the internal world that you have, the internal state of being that you have. And the reflection is what you're seeing outside, that material result. So most of the time, people keep drumming up on the complaining, on the poverty, and why they don't have money and why they're so broke or why nothing's going their way. So reality starts to reflect this with a delay. This is why, because of the inert quality of material reality, because it's so, matter is so dense, it takes a little bit of time for it to materialize, unless you have the intention energy of a Messiah. But it will generally take a little bit of time to materialize, and it always compounds on itself. The results I'm seeing today is all a result of the compound effect from the past, of all the work that I've done. From that first YouTube video that I made in January 1st, 2019 or 2018 to up until to this day. This is the result that I'm reaping, having 100K months in my business, having a revolutionary business, helping people transform their lives, doing something meaningful and worthwhile. So really what you want to understand is all of this will take a little bit of time for it to build up on itself. But what happens is we start to get into frustration. Our attitudes start to change, and 1 minute we feel good, and next minute when we see a terrible reflection, we're like, oh shit, it's not working. So this is the biggest problem. When you understand that all of this happens with a delay, your frustrations soothe out, right? So now you no longer become so reactive, but you can stay proactive and stay grounded in the original thought and attitude you had. Okay, so to really understand this, understand that there is always an image that we present with the thoughts and attitudes we present to this mirror of reality. Okay, so the image is the attitudes that you have. And reality will always reflect the attitude that you have. You can control reality just by changing your relationship to your reality. Seriously. If you change your own attitude and you start to become more and more grateful and 51% or more of your thoughts are positive, then you're going to shift into a positive lifeline. Okay? So I want you to remember that. And when you present this image, what happens is the mirror of reality will start to form this reflection. It begins the process of forming the reflection. Okay? Process begins. If you keep this attitude up for long enough, the key is to keep it up for long enough, then this result finally materializes fully. When I keep the attitude of I'm worthy of the 100K months, I'm worthy of the business that I want and making the impact that I want, it is happening, it is going to happen, more so that than, oh shit, why is this going wrong and why is that going wrong? So this phase is important because when life starts to make this reflection, starts to create it, this is when the testing period comes. Okay? Why this testing period comes is not because life wants to fuck you over, but more so life wants to sort of take the path of least resistance. Okay? So this is path of least resistance. And you've got to remember this. Life takes the path of least resistance because it doesn't want to disturb its own balance. Sometimes taking the path of least resistance means, having this temporary spanner thrown in the works. Meaning, you go from 80K to 50K before you can come up to 100K. Do you see what I mean? So this is how life sort of takes that path of least resistance to begin forming this reflection. Very, very crucial. Must remember this. Okay, so this is the second part of it, where life starts to create that reflection in this mirror. Once you keep that attitude up for long enough, eventually the result forms and you start to see what you want in reality. Okay? So even when life is forming this reflection, you see a little bit of the results. But what happens is we start to catch the negative results more than the positive ones. Right? So what happens is here, we sort of start to perceive this result in a negative light. So let's say you make the intention to go to 10K months in your business and you're currently doing 5K months, right? So next month you do 7K, but then you go back down to 4K. You're like, oh shit, it's not working. So now your attitude is changing, right? The image that you're presenting to it, you're looking at this result and you're using the result to form the image. Okay, you're using the reflection to recraft the image. The biggest mistake most people make is they use the negative, unintended outcome to distort the image rather than embellish it with the positive outcomes that they're seeing. This is absolutely crucial to understand. This is perhaps one of the biggest keys, right? Don't use the result to distort the image that you're wanting to create, but rather only to embellish it. Okay, I'm going to get down deep into what that means in a second. But understand that before the reflection goes to the result, there is a delay time, which we will call delta T. Okay, so here there's a delta T before the result fully shows up in reality. Now, how can we make sense of this delta T? And essentially, this is how. If we had a graph of your image, reflection, and sort of the time that it takes for a result to materialize, how I would describe it is you sort of have a sinusoidal, right? So let's say at first you begin with forming your attitude, okay? Your priority is to form the correct attitudes. So you begin at this level, right? You start off with great attitude and eventually your attitude starts to fade because you don't see the results. And then you go to the lowest point, but then at this point the result comes. So in terms of the image and reflection, how that would look like is basically this. This would be the first graph, which would complete itself like this. I'm going to draw it first and explain it. It'll be much better. So there's that. And the second graph is showing the reflection that you're seeing. Okay? So this is the blue graph that we have. It's completely flipped right? So to understand this, it's sort of like you begin with great attitude. At this point, at t equals 0, you have great attitude. You want to manifest what you want. This is t0. You begin with great attitude, but when you start off, reality doesn't reflect it because now you're just beginning this process. So now what's happening is more and more as time progresses, you keep up the great attitude. You're like, yes, I'm going to do the 10K months. Oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But you just can't keep it up at the original intensity because you're not seeing the physical equivalent of it. We've been so accustomed to seeing the physical result that without it, we're just like, oh shit, nothing's happening, right? So now your state of being starts to go down. And when you hit your lowest point, that's when the result shows up. So the reflection, this is the result point, right? This is when the cooking, the reflection is done. So this is the T critical. T critical is the point where it shows up. But the difference between T0 to T critical is the delta T. So please make sure you understand this and even rewatch this. So this is delta T, if that doesn't look right. There you go. So that's delta T, meaning the difference, the time it takes for the reflection to fully complete itself. So now the problem is, you've come up and your state of being has gone so down low that now the 10K month shows up. Just when you're about to give up, right? Just when you're like, oh shit, none of this works. It's not really working. I don't know what to do. Just when you're about to give up, that's when this result shows up. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've seen this happen to me, where just when I was about to give up and let go of this completely, the result shows itself. Just when I'm about to throw away the good attitudes and everything, the result shows itself. And when the result shows itself, what happens now is your state of being starts to get higher and higher, right? You're like, yes, great, it's working, awesome. And now the opposite happens. Now the mirror starts to reflect your negative state of being with a delay. This is crazy. This is why people keep going up and down and riding the highs and lows in the roller coaster of their lives. They have no consistency in their state of being. The best thing to do is just maintain that same consistency because the result will show up anyway, right? And now you are no longer subject to the highs and lows of life, but you can just experience a neutral high and just keep moving on up and up and up, okay? So this is what happens. Whenever you get down to this level, you see the result at T critical, but now at T critical, your attitude was at its lowest. And now reality starts to reflect this low attitude with a delay. So when you get to another T critical equivalent, so another delta T equivalent, what happens is you start to see something bad happen, like, oh, none of this is working. Maybe you go back to another 4K month. So this is why people have inconsistent revenues in their businesses as well, because of their lack of consistency internally. I can't tell you how many business owners I've seen do 80K months in their business just to go bankrupt the next month, right? All of this happens because of this inconsistency in your internal state of being, right? So I really want you to just recap this video right now and look at this graph so you fully understand it and you understand why this delay time and this cycle is happening the way that it is. So now I want to conclude this video with basically the keys you need to take away from this so you can begin to apply this in your own life. Okay, so the number one key is to know that use the result to embellish the image you're forming rather than distort it. Okay, so remember how we had that cycle of where the result feeds back into the image? Use result to embellish, not distort. Key. So what do I mean by this? Well, essentially, whenever we see, because there's always going to be that test that comes up in the path of least resistance life takes. Whenever you see something good, you use that to make your attitude stronger. Whenever you see something bad, you just ignore it. You just understand and learn to see that, oh, life is just taking the path of least resistance. It's going to come my way. Because whenever you see that test and that challenge and you start to get fazed by it, and your internal state of being starts to get fazed by it, you're fucked. You're in trouble now. Because now that ups and downs is going to happen again. So understand key number one. Absolutely crucial. Key number two is understanding that you've got to become acutely aware of internal state at all times. Okay? So IS stands for internal state. Become acutely aware of your internal state at all times and learn to want something without needing it. Right? Want without needing. So what does that mean? Well, most people, they want the goal and they really need it. They're like, oh shit, I really want this, I need this. If this doesn't happen, something bad's gonna happen. And whenever you get into that state, life will always show you its true nature, which is the state of impermanence. Nothing is ever too important. Things can be important, but never too important. When there's a distortion of the meaning that you attribute towards something, life will start to destroy this. Life will actively work on destroying this disproportionate amount of meaning you've put onto something. Okay, that's number 2. All right, so the final key you need to understand, key number 3, is actually tied into key number 2, and alleviating key number 2 is understanding that you've got to get into full acceptance of what is. Okay, you've got to get into full acceptance of the failure scenario. If you look like you're about to fail, just let it be. Don't fight or don't resist it, because you're resisting this path of least resistance right now. So whatever it is, accept failure scenario. Okay, what does this mean? Well, to be honest, in getting into full acceptance mode of this failure scenario, you're actually moving towards success. Okay, people think that, oh, if I accept the failure, then the failure is going to come. That's again a resistance. Unless and until you can fully let go of that neediness. The only way to let go of that neediness is to just get into acceptance of what is and what is impending. Okay, like I said, if I didn't get into full acceptance that, oh, you know what, next month I could. When I hit that 50K month and I was wanting to go to the 100K months, if I didn't get into full acceptance of, you know what, next month I could even go down lower and I could even hit a 20K month and go back down to that. Would that be so bad? What's the worst that can happen then? And to be honest, nothing. It's just me and my own expectations and my own standards that get in my way. Right? Because if I start to resist and fight against myself, I don't become objective. Now, the opportunities that will lead me to the 100K months, it's not visible to me because I'm looking to avoid not hitting the 100K months. Do you see the subtlety? Instead of wanting to hit the 100K months and accepting everything on the path to it, I'm resisting the 100K months by saying, oh no, I don't want to not hit the 100K months. So that's what you move towards. Life doesn't care. The mirror of reality doesn't care about the nature of the intention, but rather the content of it. If you say, I don't want to not hit the 100K months, that's what it will reflect, not hit the 100K months, instead of do hit the 100K months. So that's a key subtlety you've got to keep in mind. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Let's do a quick recap of it. Today, we talked about how to control and master your own internal state of being, which is something that was very, very crucial to me in my journey in growing my business. Okay, and understand that whenever you make a new intention to wanting to move to a new height and a newer level in your life, life will always throw you a test. There's always going to be a test that comes your way. Most fail this test because they start to get phased by them. They start to change their attitudes that they form initially. It starts to change. Okay, and also understand that when I wanted to hit the 100K months, there was a huge test for me. Right, I went from doing 80K to 50K and then coming back up to 100K once I coordinated the situation correctly and formed the right attitudes and maintained it. And really, we talked about the mirror principle of reality and how there's an image that you form and the reflection that starts to generate, but it creates it with a delay. And once the reflection fully forms itself, the result, the outcome is produced. So we can use this outcome to either embellish the attitudes and the image, or we can use it to distort this image completely. So to give you an example of that, when you see something good, you can use it to help you feel that state of being, but rather you can use something that doesn't go in accordance with the attitude that you've presented, but you still see it in your reality like, oh, well, I went from 10K to 5K and I want to go from 10K to 20K or 5K to 10K. And then you see your income going down the next month and you're like, oh shit, well, it's not working. So now you're distorting this image that you're putting up. So really that, and also understanding the delay time that is, the T critical and the delta T that it takes for you to get to that state of being, but also more so the reflection that shows up in actual reality itself. Understand that whenever you get to the peak intensity of your internal state of being and you start off with a good attitude, the results are just forming themselves. The reflection is starting to show itself slowly. But when you start to get frustrated and get to the point of, you know what, I'm just going to give up on this, that's when the results start to show up. So the key thing also is to maintain that consistency. And also we really talked about the 3 keys to help you do this, okay? So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. And you might notice the camera quality kind of going in and out. I had to reshoot this like 3-4 times because the camera kept messing up, but we'll hope to fix that soon. But again, thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, I'm super excited to announce, as I mentioned before, the free one-to-one consult with me and my team for the Reality Mastery program is now open. So make sure you click on the link in the description below to sign up for that. And who we really work with are as follows. First of all, people who are professionals, they're looking to transition out and start up their own businesses. They have all of the tactics and strategies and have tried the different business models and opportunities, and they're seeing they always make a full circle back to the 9 to 5. The problem isn't the business model because other people are getting successful with it, but rather it's them. Internally, they're only worthy of the cubicle and the 9 to 5, and they're in the employee mindset. That's their identity, and that's what they keep returning back to. The same thing with the entrepreneurs we work with. They want to scale up their revenues and go from the 10K to the 20K, 20K to the 40K months. And what they're seeing is they have the business mentors, tactics, and strategies. It was never a tactical problem, but rather an internal one. Who they are only worthy of the 10K, 20K months, and that's what they keep staying stuck at. People who are high performers, people who are creatives, who want to take their creative careers to the next level as well. If that sounds like you, please take this opportunity to click on the link in the description below to sign up for the consult, and let's see how we can help you get to that next level and if we're a good fit to work together. And also the free Facebook group is open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.